Okay, I'm getting back to work on demolishing the 1977 CNC 24. Yesterday I didn't get as much done as I would like to have. Kind of got a late start, but today we are definitely getting it cut down to the red water line. Alright, just to see if it would be a little faster, I went to a shorter blade on a sawzall. Actually used a metal cutting blade, and it cut faster through the fiberglass than a demolition blade or the chainsaw. But the demolition blade has a much longer reach. As you can see, I didn't get through the inner panel, but that's okay. I can now just cut it from the inside, so that's fine. But took that section off. Took me about 3 minutes to get it all the way cut. Gonna do the same thing on the inside and then cut the other side the same way. Then we'll work on cutting through this piece of wood here that was there to support the mast. That's what those big aluminum plates were bolted to, where the cables and turnbuckles that hold the mast attached to. So we'll have everything from that piece of wood forward stripped down to this height in the next few minutes, hopefully. And then I'm not going to do anything with the center section just yet until I get the rudder and stuff off the back. Okay, I've got the front half of the boat cut down to the level where I want the whole boat to be by the end of the day. So you can see here, I've still got all the inside stuff to remove, but once it's cut down to this level on the outside, all the way around, the inside will be pretty easy to manage, and I don't have to worry about it falling off the cradle or anything. I want to leave enough weight up here in the front. I know the keel's heavy, but just in case, I want to leave enough weight in the front to hold the boat on the cradle until I get this stern of the boat removed. I already removed the rudder. I couldn't get to the bottom bracket from the inside without climbing inside the little hatch and stuff, but the top one has a access cover, so I just unbolted that one, and then on the bottom removed the cotter key or cotter pin and just slid it out of the top of that bracket. Once I cut the hull apart, I'll remove that bracket as well and put it all back together and stuff on the rudder so I can sell it. The motor bracket, I'll cut access on the inside or something and unbolt that, because I don't want that to get broken or bent up or anything when the stern of the boat drops off, because I'm basically going to do the same thing that I did to the front. You know, cut just underneath the rub rail all the way down till about this point here, you know, where the edge of the cradle starts. So that way from there back will just drop down to the ground, but the rub rail or tow rail will all be intact. And then I'll just go along and cut the sides down just like the front, and we'll be done for the day. Then tomorrow I'll either start cutting the bottom sections up or just go ahead and start making a few trips to the landfill. Start getting it cleaned up a little bit. But it's definitely getting there. I just finished cutting an access to get to the mounting bolts for that outboard bracket. I don't know if you can see that, but I've got 4 bolts to remove. This will also make it easier to see, make sure there's not anything metal down low or it's going to mess up my blade as I cut all this off. But let's go ahead and make an access on this other side, and then we'll get back to work cutting around the tow rail. Well, I cut me a good size access to the back of the boat. I went ahead and cut around that area that had the bracket for the rudder, and set that aside so I can remove that bracket. But now I've got to remove that battery. I already removed that water tank that was over there, as well as the hose from that yellow thing there over to here. I'm guessing that's a manual bilge pump or something. I mean, it's got a cap up here on the top, and when you open it up, it's got a place where you can put a rod in it, and it looks like it just moves back and forth and moves that diaphragm there, and I guess that works as a pump for the bilge. But I don't know if it works, don't know if it's worth anything, and I don't know where the rod to it is. So that's alright though. I'll just set that aside, figure it out later. But for now, let's go ahead and get these other parts loose. I got those hoses for the drains right there to remove, and then I can start cutting through the bottom of the hole. I'm actually going to cut right about where that battery is sitting. I'm going to cut all the way around the hull, just on this side of that bulkhead, and cut across the top and let the back part of the boat fall off. So let's get back to work. Okay, I got the one seating area and storage compartment removed. I got the battery out and most of this floor. Now I'm going to cut out this whole section here with the seating. It's going pretty smooth. Well, I didn't meet my goal yesterday. I was 2 cuts away from meeting that goal of getting down to that red line all the way through, but removing all the parts off the back of the boat, engine bracket, rudder, all the wiring, the manual bilge pump, battery, all that stuff, took a little bit longer than I thought it was gonna. I mean, in the time it took me to remove all the wiring and switches and stuff, I made all the cuts to remove the rear section of the boat. So the cutting part was going quick. It's just all the little tedious stuff of trying not to destroy reusable stuff. It's just taking too long. But like I said, I just got a couple more cuts to make and it'll all be down to that level. Today though, of course, I'm going to go a lot further than that and hopefully have it off the cradle. There's pretty much nothing left on the inside. It's cut off about a foot behind that rear bulkhead you see there, and this whole front section here, this is actually loose from the boat, but it's held together with the bottom of the hull with a big glob of, I don't know, resin or something, so it's just not wanting to break loose. I'll either have to make a couple more cuts to get it loose or just pry the heck out of it with something. But go ahead and get started on it today. It definitely looks different than it did yesterday, but it's still not where I wanted it to be. I mean, I could have stayed out here last night and finished the last couple cuts, but pretty sure the neighbors wouldn't have liked that since it was 9:30 when I called it quits. But let's go ahead and get these 2 side pieces cut off, and then we can start removing these little storage compartment areas and cut around the mounting area for the keel. That way we can deal with it later. Alright, I'm now to the point I said I would be yesterday. I mean, it took less than 10 minutes to make those final cuts. I would love to have gotten that done last night, but I just, you know, I didn't want to keep up with the noise any longer past 9:30. I don't think anybody around here would have said anything, but I was just trying to be nice. I mean, even carrying it on the 930 was a bit much. But as you can see, the main part of it is down. So basically I just cut that off of each side. A majority of these cuts has been made by a $23 sawzall from Harbor Freight and a very expensive pack of metal cutting blades. I was going to use the Demolition blades that I had bought for this, but the metal cutting blades actually cut through fiberglass faster than the chainsaw, faster than the Demolition blades. And overall, this Harbor Freight sawzall, I mean, it's been doing good. Unfortunately, it keeps having screws and stuff fall out of it, and the motor is scalding hot right now just after those two cuts. But I mean, what do you expect for a $23 sawzall? Or should I say reciprocating saw, because it's not actually the Sawzall brand. It's I think Chicago Electric. Let's see. I don't know if that's showing up. Yeah, Chicago Electric 4.5 inch reciprocating saw. But I don't care. It does the job. If it's completely burned out after today, it's paid for itself. I mean, I've only owned it for 3 days and already destroyed it. But I've owned the boat for over a year, and look, I finally destroyed it. But I'm going to go ahead and clean up this little bit of stuff here, and then we'll cut out this bulkhead the rest of the way, as well as all these interior compartments. Main thing is getting down to that keel. From what I've heard, everything says that that keel is a solid lead keel, not one of those ones that's, you know, fiberglass form with lead shot in it. I wish it was lead shot, because then I could empty it out and it'd be a lot easier to manage. But 1,050 pounds of lead ballast. That should get me a little bit of money for scrap metal. I mean, lead prices are pretty decent. Between that and all the parts that I'm saving off of here, I'll definitely clear more than the $900 we were asking for the whole boat. But it's sad. I mean, you know, I expected, as I was cutting through the boat, I would find some weak spots or soft spots or something that would make me feel a little bit better about cutting it up. But I did not. The hull was very solid, which is sad. I mean, this thing would have lasted many, many more years out on the water and brought enjoyment to a lot of people. So I know I'm wandering around too much. Let me climb up here on the ladder and show you real quick. Last view, I knock over a sawzall blade. There's what we have left, and there is the pile of mess we have made. So go ahead and get the rest of this chopped up. Then I've got the task of removing all the hardware from every bit of fiberglass and then loading it all up in the trailer to go to the landfill. We'll probably take it to the landfill at the end of next week, but it will be ready for the landfill today. So I'm going to get back to work. Okay, I got the last of the floor pieces out. I didn't have to remove anything off that center section. Once I cut it loose from that little rear storage area, it was just loosely in there. I mean, they had a small dab of adhesive, but nowhere near as much as they did on all the other stuff, so it just popped right up. There it is. And now I'm going to go ahead and remove these two bulkheads. I'm going to cut basically the front section off with the bulkhead included and toss that in the pile, and then I'm going to do the rear the same way. Then I'm going to cut right next to those stringers and let the sides fall off, and that'll just leave that center section with the stringers and everything and the keel all together, and then I'll lay that on its side on the ground and finish cutting that apart. So it's getting there. I just finished cutting all the way around the keel. I mean, I know the keel unbolts, but it's also held in with adhesive, and I don't feel like dealing with that right now, so I just cut all the way around it. I was going to cut on the outside of those stringers and do it that way, but I decided just to cut just around the keel and let the hull just come off the cradle in one piece, and then I can cut the hull up the rest of the way with the sawzall while it's upside down. It'll just be easier on the ground. I'm going to go ahead and try and lift this off of here and tip it over onto the driveway and then start cutting it up. But just figure I'd do one last walk around of the boat on the cradle. Let's see if you can see the cut. Maybe. There you go. Hull's not really that thick, but it is strong. Or it was strong. But hopefully the keel will just stay put here in this little wood brace. Walk over this pile of crap. The last major piece to cut for the sailboat. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and move it now, and I'll do one more little walk around video after that. I probably won't do any more videos of me, removing all the hardware and then cutting it into smaller pieces, because that's just boring. I mean, this video here is probably boring, but at least it's showing the death of this sailboat. So let me get this moved, and then I'll show you what it looks like after that. Okay, the sailboat is off the cradle. Didn't come down as I wanted it to, but that's okay. I wanted this piece actually sitting upside down to make it easier to cut, but I was able to lift the back up and scoot it over no problem, ready to turn. But when I did that, the corner of where I had cut for the keel got caught on the inside edge, so I couldn't free it myself. I just took the engine hoist and put it about a foot underneath the front of it and just kept lifting until the keel fell free. And of course it didn't stay balancing like I was hoping, but that's okay. I mean, that was just scrap wood that was put in place to keep the boat from rotating or anything on the cradle while it was lifted, boat and cradle together off the trailer. So I don't mind. I mean, it's just some scrap wood I had laying around. But I'm going to go ahead and get this cut down to size and add it to the pile. Get the keel moved out of there, and then move the cradle around back for right now so I can have some more room. But there it is for now. Let's get this cut down to size and start cleaning it up. Alright, I cut that big section in half. Been hauling it around back to put it in a pile where I can work on it the rest of the week on pulling all the hardware off and loading it in the trailer as I remove it. But just want it all out of this front yard area so it's not such an eyesore, and so I can also move the cradle and start cleaning up everything. But making quick work moving it around back. So that's what we got done for now. Okay, the biggest part of the sailboat is gone. The cradle has been moved around back. I've got the keel, just basically picked it up and put the boards up underneath of it and set it back down on the engine hoist so that way I could move it around. I've still got to pull the fiberglass section off of it and it'll be ready to go for scrap metal. I mean, it's just gotta, you know, remove those, what, 4 bolts, or, well, 4 nuts and washers. The threaded rod is part of the keel itself, just stainless steel rod down inside the lead, and it'll come apart, hopefully right here, with a bit of persuasion from a hammer. Hopefully that's all it'll take. And then that whole bottom section's going to get recycled and give me some cash. But that's it for now. I'll probably do a little walk around video as the rest of the boat's loaded up on the trailer to go to the landfill. I don't think they'll let me film at the landfill. So that's the end of the 1977 CNC 24-foot sailboat. Thanks for watching.